The Bloodstone Chronicles, Book 1, A Darker Sun, by David Inkling. Chapter 15, The Scourging. A dim white sun breaks the surface of the eastern horizon, and its cold flickering layer turns like a page to reveal a blank nothingness across the sky. A dank bank of cloud hangs like a page of unwritten, silenced words. The day is a palimpsest, erased of meaning. The invisible sun rises, hidden in a world that is shaded, darker. The mark of the iron claw has been scorched literally into every door and scored metaphorically in every heart in the dales. There is no birdsong to greet the grey light rising on the distant hills. When the remaining villagers of the dales open their doors in the morning, they encounter no flurry or fluttering of feathers, no bird hops, darts, or dances. They do not take flight to alight in a nearby tree. All morning busyness has ceased. The trees are barren. And although the light comes, there is to be no heat, no life in its pallid glow. At one emptied house in Netherdale, the guard brands the door. It smokes as the paint blisters, sings out a new early morning chorus with a scalding hiss, then the acrid smell drifts upon the languid air. The owners are outside, chained and on their knees, their heads hooded in sacks. They have quickly learned to make no sound. Submission is a lesson taught quickly by the guard nearby, who holds a keen baton. The family will soon be taken away for further intense questioning. Their possession of 3 banned texts means they will forfeit their home. We collected all suspected corms and stones from Netherdale. It's just as we were told, the guard says to an officer. All of the houses are now clean. Good. The sinister flat voice of Tark Fester says. Now escort them to the city. And the books and the papers? Do we burn them here? Not this time, my eager friend. They must be sifted by the bishops. We will send them on. But before you go, take this to the butcher. He saved me a lot of wasted time. Fester passes the guard a purse that has quickly become a standard unit of payment. It amounts to 7 silver coins. And the prisoners? The guard asks. Is anything more required of them? Are they of some particular interest to you? The officer stares at the guard, who is silenced. The intimidating gaze ends any comment, and he moves on. This is how they clean each village. As the guard leave, they raise a banner that flutters over the first house. Anyone arriving at a hamlet immediately sees the pale disk of the weakened sun on a blood-red ground. And there on the sun's face are the 3 clawing black fingers of the iron hand. Each house is searched, branded. The iron claw scrapes or burns into its wood. In Cloverdale, the blind elder, Salomia, has been silenced. A small library of texts was composed of simple holes punched into the thickest paper. Only she could read the words formed from her subtle dots. But since the guard could not decipher the patterns of dotted letters, they assumed it was code, secret and seditious. They take her books, her papers, and bind her tightly. Burn them all, says the chief guard officer. The three junior guard look inquiringly up at their leader. Does he mean the woman or the books? Or both? Does it really matter? Every book is taken from the unseeing, the disabled, and the blind. Each victim finds the stench of scorching, a visceral stain upon their memories. The guard erase their thoughts, raise their minds of all ideas, and fill their senses with the sickening stench of destruction. Books, papers, texts, and embroideries from generations of women across the county are collected and piled high into carts. The houses of each village in the Dales are visited one at a time. Inexorably, the scorching of each door is completed. Unless they happen to find the door open, the guard beat, break, or kick their way in. They smash the private places and empty out each dwelling of all that was once cherished. It is now deemed illicit, unorthodox. Often, they take anything they simply think inappropriate. The astonished owners look on in despair as tables, lamps, china and glassware are smashed. What exactly is there in basic household property that is inappropriate? It is the same in each house. Is this your corn? The guard asks, holding up a kitchen plate. When no answer comes immediately, it is dropped and smashes. He picks up a lamp and repeats the question again and again until the owner of the house runs to their place of safekeeping, takes the hidden corms and places them nervously into the hands of the waiting guard. They check inside to make sure, see the bloodstones are there, of course, but most are old, grey and lifeless, degraded and dimmed after years of neglect. Hardly worth all this aggravation and resistance, the officer thinks. Why keep them once they're faded? Superstitious nonsense, stupid traditions, dead religion. That's all you get in a backwater village, a nest of believers. Books, papers, and corms, however, are all carefully taken away. One must not underestimate what is in a printed text. Fester hears the bishop declare this firsthand. There are many ancient words that have yet to settle in time's truth. Some never will, perhaps, but others, who knows? Let's just say that a vision is a vision until it's a fact. The words of maestras and maesters alike must be removed. The culture is carted up, but before that it is Fester's duty to ensure each house is signed off as clean. Only then can he look forward to the branding. When the guard makes its sweep into each house, there steps one man, one of the dark hood, the senior guard. Fester watches and thinks he hears the officer address a rider as a cardinal. Are they riding the countryside too now? It seems unlikely from the old men he has seen, but rumours are that many old cardinals have gone missing, replaced by newer, stronger men. Perhaps a new breed of cardinal is emerging, caped and mysterious, not stooping to manual duty. They run the guard and collect words and papers from each villager. Fester's eyes search each house as the guard rake through things with their fingers. He scans the piles of confiscated goods intently. But what is it that the bishops want? What could the bishops possibly need so badly? The guard do not know, that is for sure. Something special, hidden away in one of the remote houses across the Dales. What would appease the masters back in Wilden? He is beginning to understand why they press on, disturb everyone whatever the time of day, whether the accused and inspected look like troublemakers or not. It is urgent or important, or both. The riders search everyone and everywhere. He will benefit from this. He knows if he finds it, whatever it is, he must find it. But it is proving more than a little elusive. He thinks they'll speak, these villagers. His methods have always borne fruit before. What do we do with the property once the owners have been removed? The officer says and eyes the furniture, wonders if he might have time to come back and visit before they have to leave for the city. There are some very nice pieces in this latest house. Close it up and chain the door, the rider interrupts. He speaks emphatically. No one is to get in at all. Fester listens to the rider. He looks at the response from the guard and learns how power sounds upon the tongue, how words fall neatly into the senses. The prohibition of speech is the bishop's first idea, and now it's been extended to writing. The decree has been shared in their son halls. But it is the coming of the hand of the claw that means words finally cease. Pain silences people. And it is not simply the burning symbol of that hand onto a door that changes everything in the Dales. It is the actual hand that wields a baton, wields a club or a whip, wields a sword, and if needs must, wields an axe. That is what the new law means now. For when heads are separated from their owners' bodies, printed words no longer matter. What do they want? Fester asks one rider. Obedience, conformity. Fear seals lips quicker than any law, the rider says. It is a simple step to the extinction not only of all free thought, but of any kind of thought when questions are met with a harsh slap. In children too? Fester hears the guard ask. Of course, even on the youngest mouth, the rider replies. Soon there are no questions. Violence is the only answer. Then fear is the first and last control. Soon there is total control. What is the second step? The guard asks. What happens next? The rider steps forward and with his gloved right hand strikes the guard fully across the face. There is only one step. The bishops have informed each of the riders that success lies in consolidating power. We collect their corms and any ancient texts. All lies are silenced, contained. The old ways are expunged. Each village, each house will surrender their ancient books. An officer appears. The team of guard are ready to leave, he says. Outside, already covered in grey waxed cloths, the trail of wagons departs, safely on the slow haul back to Wilden. A rider accompanies the wagons at its head. Tarquin Fester, one of the riders of Netherdale, reflects on his introduction to the bishop's plan. He'd listened carefully, expected some reason, a rationale for seizing all power, but none had been offered. But he knows he has a propensity, a tendency to succeed in doing his duty. He will fulfill the bishop's commands. They half smile, half grimace at his efforts. They are three of them, these new bishops, eminent figures who stand before the whole group of riders when he leaves the city. But they speak as one, Sometimes they even finish each other's sentences. It's really quite hard to tell whose lips are moving. Did the bishops read something in his expression? Have they seen his doubts, questions forming silently in his own mind? Does it really matter if he gets blood on the books? That's all he wanted to ask. And is there any specific book they want? Just bring us every book written by a woman, they say. We'll check each one. Each book. Each one. Is that possible? When he can, Fester takes up one of the so-called forbidden books. He glances at the pages of a volume entitled Goat Herder, Advice for Rearing Goats, and he's at a loss to know why farming methods might be subversive. Then he reads one paragraph on the ways in which goats are often protected by a livestock guardian, larger animals, such as a donkey. And a little later, a statement says that bucks have to be beaten down and suppressed. Some breeders even use violence to keep their goats in order. The writer sees how the book defines people in the villages as little more than herders of goats, and he becomes aware that he now has become little more than a donkey, a herder for beating the villagers down. Power, he sees and understands, is a living thing. One does not simply possess and contain it. It slips from hand to hand like an eel, wet and writhing, constantly moving. He hears it said by someone he knows well and trusts. That eel, he's heard, can become alive with bright lightning energy and can sting and bite worse than the teeth in the eel's head. He begins to wonder if, in this new emerging world of the caltrop, whether the bishops will bite or sting. And will he be expected? And if he does, will he simply bite and sting to order, or might he bite at will? For now, Tarquin Fester climbs back onto his horse, spurs the beast viciously with a sharp kick, and rides off. Silently he dreams of the benefits of biting and stinging. It is far better than being bitten or being stung. At his groundwell in Netherdale, where Alaric is eating his daily breakfast of eggs and bacon and sausages, he hears his father. He speaks excitedly about the events of the previous night, and how even at that moment, restlessly, the guard work systematically through each village to eradicate the subversives, the undesirables. Gunta Haug holds a purse and is counting out the silver pieces of his reward for loyalty to the Iron Hand. His wife, Bluda, may have silently buried a frown or two at some of the things he says, but she has never been one to question her husband or his hand. He laughs aloud suddenly when he relays how all the essential workers are safe. He will certainly be allowed to continue. The guard need meat, don't they? Of course a butcher is safe. And he will be handsomely rewarded for all the best cuts of meat falling into just the right hands, no doubt. More purses will come his way, he is sure. They'll need bread too, so the fat baker will stay for now. But Gunta is sure he's replaceable in due course. A word from him might even speed things along. Information is slippery too, and passes from mouth to mouth as easily as a live fish in your hands. One of his brothers can make bread. He's sure there's not that much to it. They need the farmsters to supply food for the city, so they'll stay too, until the end of the season, when the locals will become labourers in their place. The likes of the Spot sisters might even have to lift a finger or two if they haven't already been carted off for women's work in the city. But others? Are all the villagers necessary? Can they not be used more profitably in Wilden? Are there not better opportunities there with long shifts in the labour camps and the new mines? Gunta looks at his son. He frowns until Alaric smiles back. The son hears the tone in his father's voice, but he does not understand why. Even if he sees there's glee in the contemplation of the family acquiring more, he knows if his father is pleased, then things will be good for them. His father has that happy manner he's seen before. He hears it when Gunta Haug is about to enter the slaughterhouse. In his mind, Alaric calls it the kill thrill. The day is looking up, Alaric thinks, and he hasn't even started on his third sausage. Take a thought, quake the thought, break the thought, crush it, he murmurs to himself as he pierces the sausage with his fork. He watches his father put on his coat, take up a roll of knives tied in their leather casing, and step towards the door. It's the most creative verse Alaric has ever thought of. It is the only verse he has ever thought of, and silently he vows to himself he must never do it again. It's soft. It's a rhyme. It will be seen as weak, sentimental. If Netherdale was silenced in the night, awaking with a mute and terrified shock, there is apprehension over the Spot sisters' breakfast table. It's very quiet this morning, Celia says as she breaks into her softly boiled egg. Dahlia says nothing, but sips her tea and looks pensively at the steam rising from her untouched porridge. Greendale remains strangely quiet for the rest of the morning. The subdued Spot sisters wait restlessly, wonder who they can turn to with their questions. They try to think who they might ask. Where is the wiser mouth to open up and explain things to them, to speak out into the moment and define the truth of what is unfolding? What should they do? How should they respond to the rumours? What is the next step? How can we stop what is happening? But in Greendale, anyone who might speak out has been systematically silenced, and Dahlia's hand is gently shaking as she places her cup back in its saucer.